Hi, I'm Dr. Bertice Berry, and I want to tell you a story. It's a really good story. It's a story that changed my life. My friend Peter told me this story, and when I heard the story, it didn't resonate with me. And then I continued to listen. Why? Because we are wired for narrative. Narrative has a way of reaching us and teaching us like statistics and charts and graphs don't. But because I like to say that I'm a woman of science and faith, I like both. So here's the story. Peter told me that years ago he was in the airport, actually on a plane on his way home. He was working as a consultant with a team of consultants flying from Atlanta to Boston on the last flight out on Friday. Everyone who's ever been a consultant who's taken that last flight, you know that you really just want to get home. Well, the inevitable happened. The pilot came out and said, sorry, the check engine light has just come on and it's going to take us a little bit longer. We're going to have to figure out what's wrong and try to get it fixed. Peter's boss grabbed him by the hand and said, get your things and come with me. He said, where are we going? And she said, don't worry about it, just come with me. So they got off the plane and they walked and walked, and he said, where are we going? And she said, don't worry about it, just come with me. And they got to a gate. It was a flight to New York. And so she talked to the gate agent and asked if they would change the tickets and let them go to New York since their flight wasn't going to Boston. Peter said, being the person who likes to control his own behavior, was like, well, what are we going to do when we get to New York? This is crazy. We don't need to get to New York. We need to get to Boston. Do you know how far Boston is from New York? And she said, don't worry about it. Just come on. As long as you keep moving in the general direction, you'll get there. Just keep moving in the general direction. Just keep moving in the general direction. So they got on the flight, and he was still kind of anxious and nervous about it. And she said, listen, Peter, once we get to New York, we can catch another flight. We can get a car. We can go by boat. We can go by train. We can get there many, many ways. There are many ways from New York to Boston, but there's only one way tonight, and it's not going. I heard that story and I knew it was important. And for Peter, the important part was to keep moving, just to keep moving in the direction and you'll get there. Keep moving. I thought about it for several days, and one night in the middle of my sleep, I popped up and it became very obvious to me that the point of the story for me was the check engine light. You see, in my life, MS had become that check engine light that came on that stopped me from moving in the direction that I was accustomed to going in the way that I was accustomed to moving. It stopped me from being well in my definition of wellness, that the spirit, mind, body were in alignment, and my body would not do what my mind was trying to tell it to do. And my spirit was willing, but oh, was my flesh weak. And so my check engine light was that. And like any good sociologist, I began to operationalize this whole concept of getting to where we want it. So I graphed it. I drew some lines to indicate this part is wellness. That's the goal. That's where I want to be. This point over here, this point. And then I drew my graph, and then I said, what do I need to get there? What do I need to do? First of all, how am I going to measure wellness? What is wellness going to look like for me? For me, it was about range of motion. It was the ability to lose some weight. It was the ability to move and breathe. It was the ability to get through the year without catching the flu and pneumonia and all these other things that kind of came along with this. So every night, I asked myself a simple question. What do I need to unpack? And what do I need to pack? The first night I asked that question, I woke up in the morning and I realized that I had been listening to the news the first thing in the morning. And I said, I need to unpack that. I don't need to listen to the news in the morning. Maybe I need to listen to music. The moment I started listening to music again in the morning, I started moving again. And of course, when you're moving again, you're kind of oiling and lubricating your joints and you're moving better. I also realized that I would listen to the news at night. And so I said, no more news at night. Listen to a story. Listen to more music. Listen to the book that you're reading. Anything but those things that cause you fear and anxiety and worry. Every day I'd say, what do I need to pack and what do I need to unpack? And sometimes I'd get these answers that I did not expect. You need to unpack your self-doubt. What self-doubt? I don't doubt myself. And the moment I said it, I could see myself stepping off a curb, wondering whether or not I would be able to make it. And that doubt was feeding the doubt in other areas of my life. I realized that I was supposed to be doing breathing treatments every day from November into March, and very often I didn't do it. So I put it down in my chart that I needed to do that every single day. And this year was the very first year that I made it through the year without catching the flu or pneumonia, which is kind of crazy in the middle of a pandemic. But I was prepared before the pandemic because I was already doing these daily things. In the evening, I'd say, what do I need to pack? What do I need to unpack? And in the morning, I would look at the day before and say, how did that work? What do I need to do more of? What's working well? You need to drink more water. What are you talking about? I drink loads of water. No, you don't. You carry a water bottle around. Oh, drink more water. What do I need to do to get to this point called wellness? You need to forgive. You need to let go. You need to share what you're learning and share it with those who want to hear it. You need to get rid of the naysayers in your life. You need to do what gives you joy. And every day I would pack and unpack, and every day I get closer and closer to that goal. And it simply came from a story. What I realized was that I couldn't get to where I needed to go the way I had planned on getting there, but there were many, many ways to get there, and I just had to figure them out for me. Nobody can figure out your journey for you. You have to figure it out. But how does this story resonate? The pandemic has been a check engine light for all of us. The awareness of systemic racism has been a big check engine light for so many people. You're carrying a lot of guilt and shame and regret that you don't know what you should have known. So many days I think, how is it that I can teach more of what I know when I learned these things in the second grade? When I had a teacher who would teach us about Miss Moses. Oh my gosh, Miss Moses was our principal. Miss Clausen was our teacher, and Miss Clausen taught us a song about Pedro Alonso Nino, the black navigator on Columbus's boat. You see, all of these things I know because I grew up with a lot of them. I had teachers, I had an awareness, I had a curiosity. I can't beat myself up for not knowing what someone else knows. I can just seek to learn it. So the check engine light is the awareness of what you don't know. And sometimes it feels like there's no way I can get to the knowing. Ask yourself what you'd like to learn and give yourself every day an opportunity to learn more. If the pandemic and staying in on lockdown is the check engine light, don't call it lockdown. Call it something else. Tell it it's an opportunity for you to discover yourself in ways that you've never done it before. This is a big lesson, and it's a beautiful lesson. Where do you want to go? How do you want to get there? I believe we can get there together, and I believe that we can get there whole. I believe that we can get there with more love, with more awareness, with more listening, with less anger and frustration. But your goal cannot be about not. Your goal can't be about not doing this or not having that or not being this. It has to be about being. I love you. Keep moving.